Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Silent Hill. In the last one we reached the Alchemilla Hospital proper, and now we have a hallway under this grate. Can't move since the vines have grown around it. If you remember the items we grabbed last part though, you can probably figure out what we have to do here. Pour disinfecting alcohol on them, and then light them up. And now we have access to, I think this is a sub-basement of the Otherworld Hospital. There is no map for this area. But it's not so bad as you can only enter, I think, like 2 or 3 rooms down here, period, including the ones you have to enter. The biggest threat, sort of, is that there's a couple of puppet nurses in relatively close quarters to you in either room.
What's this? Looks like someone's been here.
Alessa. Looks familiar. Alessa. That's all I have to say about that, Harry. Alright. And we can also grab the examination room key. That is the key we need to leave the hospital, because if you try to go back to the examination room where we met Kaufman last part in the Otherworld version of the hospital, you just can't. The door's locked. That key can be surprisingly hard to grab, though. You can tell whenever you can interact or grab something, period, when outside of the things already brought up about contrast, whenever Harry directly looks at it. But sometimes the investigation hitbox for some items next to other items can lead to some problems where you're trying to say grab a key, but you'll just look at that picture of whoever that Alessa girl is. So be careful with that. Thankfully, there's not many times that happens where there's enemies in the room with you. But yeah, either way, we also grabbed that VHS tape down there. You might remember earlier in the hospital we saw a VCR, so one of our goals before we leave, in fact I think our last goal, should be to go see what that is on that VHS tape. By and large, you can leave the hospital right now, though. You can just go to the examination room on the first floor and leave. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of a weird jump cut here. I know I'm heading upstairs, but I'm immediately going to jump cut back down to the basement. This is from my second playthrough of the game after I beat it. I'm trying to get one of the other endings. In the Otherworld version of the generator room, there's a weapon I don't grab during the main playthrough. This is the hammer. It is more or less an upgraded version of the iron pipe. Extremely high damage, but very slow. Me missing this is bad, because this is arguably my favorite weapon in the game, next to the next melee weapon. I'm just showing it off now, so if you're playing along, you can go and grab this right now, because the moment you enter the examination room, I don't think you can ever come back to the basement. So grab that while you can. That's my bad. Again, I'm partially not as I don't know Silent Hill as well as I do Resident Evil, comparatively. But also, I don't know Silent Hill 1 as well as I do Silent Hill 2, for instance. Because Silent Hill 1 is my least favorite of the Team Silent games, barring Silent Hill 4. I think, as I mentioned before, this game does some really good things. I think it's arguably the best in the series in terms of atmosphere and abstract horror. But as a game, it's my least favorite out of the initial trilogy. Either way, let's use the VHS tape on this VCR and see what we can watch off of it. Well, that told us a whole load of nothing. Now, you might be wondering if maybe that's the VHS tape messing up with the VCR. We do actively get to use that on a different VCR later on, so it is just that that VCR is busted. And admittedly, storyline-wise, kind of a good thing we don't get to see what's on there now, because it would make certain other plot points a little bit too obvious ahead of time, I feel. Part of the horror in Silent Hill is just the unknowing and unknownness of the town itself. It's very much a Eastern horror sort of deal versus Resident Evil's comparative Western horror. I'll go more into that towards the end of the game. And I appreciate how they actively do unfold the story in this game, compared to, say, at least the first Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2 onwards, not so much. Welcome to the examination room.
Finally, someone else who's okay.
Who are you?
My name's Lisa Garland. What's yours?
Harry Mason.
Harry, tell me what's happening here. Where is everybody? I must have gotten knocked out. When I came to, everyone was gone. It's awful.
So you don't know anything either. Great. I just don't get it. It's like this is all some kind of bad dream.
Yeah, a living nightmare.
Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair, 7 years old?
A 7-year-old girl. What, she's your daughter?
Yes.
A 7-year-old girl. I can't say that I have. I was unconscious all this time. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Do you know anything about all that weird stuff in the basement?
No? Why? Is there something down there?
You don't know? Don't you work here?
We're under strict orders never to enter the basement storeroom. So I really don't know. What did you say was down there?
Well, it's... Damn! My head.
What's wrong? Harry? Harry, let me help you. Harry?
Was I dreaming?
You were too late.
It's you.
Yes, Dahlia Gillespie.
Tell me everything you know. What's going on?
Darkness. The town is being devoured by darkness. Strength must overcome petty desire, childish sleep talk. I knew this day would come.
What are you talking about? I don't understand a word of this.
Believe the evidence of your eyes. The other church in this town, that is your destination. This is beyond my abilities. Only you can stop it now. Have you not seen the crest marked on the ground all over town?
So that's what I saw in the schoolyard. What does it mean?
It is the mark of Samael. Don't let it be completed.
Hey, wait!
Well, I'll give her this. She's very both direct and vague at the same time on where we should go. But that antique shop key gives us a good hint, rather. You can just look on the map to figure out where to go, but if you want a more direct hint as well, you can actively check these phone booths to just mark it on the map. We need to head to the northeast section of the shopping district in order to find where we need to go. Now, this is where you can run into some danger, potentially, because this is potentially where you're forced, I believe, to first encounter the romper enemies I brought up on the way to the hospital. There's a couple of them particularly close to the police station, and we're actively going to the police station anyway to grab some items, so be careful. They hurt. They are the fastest enemies in the game, though not quite every enemy in the game is very fast. I'd say on a straightaway, the only enemies that can maybe keep up with you are the groaners, which are the dogs, and the rompers. The bugs can't. None of the humanoid enemies like the puppet nurses and doctors can. By and large, you can outrun just about everything, except those two particular enemies. And boss fights, of course. And there they are. Thankfully, I do think they might be the slowest enemies to notice you as long as you're just running directly past them. I think you just need to run, like, in front of them for you to directly notice them. Or for them to directly notice you. The main reason you want to come over here, though, is that there is a lot of ammo. So in the case you are running low, probably not anymore. I do recommend saving ammo at this point in the game right now, though, as I'd argue you're coming up on one of the only boss fights that can be a little tight on ammo for this point in the game. If you're going to fight things, just use melee weapons. Namely, the hammer if you grabbed in the hospital, like I forgot to. There's something on it. Product only available in selected areas of Silent Hill. Raw material is White Claudia, a plant peculiar to the region. Manufactured here? Dealer equals the manufacturer? Looks like the police were trying to find some sort of drug sting. There's a memo on the desk. Coroner Seals called. Officer Gucci is unlikely to be murdered. He apparently died naturally. But medical records show Officer Gucci had no prior symptoms of heart disease. So we got maybe some conspiracy stuff going on in the background to kill cops and kill anyone investigating the drug ring, maybe? That is something that I like about Silent Hill compared to Resident Evil. Resident Evil, usually their B plots directly factor into the A plot. Like the plots you namely see through the documents and all that. Silent Hill's B and C plots usually factor in more to the story of the town, not so much the story that you're there to witness. For instance, one of the biggest examples of that is in Silent Hill 2, getting a little ahead of ourselves here, yes. There's a note in that game that mentions a child killer, Walter Sullivan, and it's mostly just used, I think, for part of a puzzle in that game. But that ends up becoming a part of the main plot in Silent Hill 4. More on that, again, way later when we eventually tackle those games. I do definitely want to do Silent Hill 2 and 3 at some point. Silent Hill 4, I really want to do the story of that, but I don't like playing Silent Hill 4. It's one of my least favorite horror games to play. It just doesn't feel good. But it has such a good story, so I'm torn. Welcome to the antique store. We actively saw someone enter this in a cutscene last part, but now we can enter it ourselves. Also, the little droning sound going on in the background there is one of the most unnerving background musics in the game to me, just because there's something very unnatural about that sound. There's a trace on the floor that somebody moved the cabinet. Do we want to push it too? Hell yeah.
What's this?
Harry!
Sybil?
I'm glad you're okay. I shouldn't have left you. Things are worse than I thought. It's nuts.
What are you doing here? I thought you left town.
I saw you go in here, so I followed you. I couldn't get out. All the roads out of town are blocked. Cars have completely stopped running. The phones and radios are still out too.
What about my daughter? Did you see her?
I did see a girl.
Was it Cheryl?
I only caught a glimpse of her through the fog. I went after her, but she vanished. I don't know about your daughter, but...
And you just let her go? Where was it?
On Bachman Road. She was heading towards the lake. Now don't get excited. It wasn't like she ran off exactly. There was no place for her to go. The road has been obliterated.
What? So then Cheryl...
It was like she was walking on thin air.
Hmm?
What about you? Anything?
Yeah, I met this bizarre woman. Her name's Dahlia Gillespie. Do you know her?
Dahlia Gillespie. No. And?
She said something about the town being devoured by darkness. Gibberish like that. Any idea what it means?
Darkness devouring the town? Must be on drugs. They sell them to the tourists. The Force still can't figure out who's behind it. None of our leads have panned out, and the investigation is stalled.
What could drug trafficking have to do with all this?
I really don't know. But maybe that's the darkness she was talking about. That's all I can think of. What's this?
Just discovered it. Maybe there's something back there.
Let's have a look.
Wait. We don't know what's back there. I'd better check it out first.
I'm a cop. I should go.
No, I'm going.
All right. I'll cover you from here. Be careful. If anything looks fishy, get back here on the double.
Okay. Sybil,
Yeah?
do you know anything about... well, like some other world? It's like some kind of bad dream.
What are you talking about?
I'm not quite sure. I try to make sense of it, but then my mind goes blank. Everything's dark there, and I hear sirens in the distance. I met this nurse, Lisa. It's like I was there, but not really. It's all a blur, like some kind of hallucination, you know?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Harry.
Oh. I was just wondering. Never mind.
Harry, you're tired.
Yeah, maybe.
That cutscene exemplifies what I brought up earlier, where I feel the delivery here for voice lines is better than Resident Evil 1. Like, I genuinely like that sigh before the yeah, maybe from Harry, but I feel there's just a lack of urgency in a lot of this game's atmosphere when it comes to, like, searching for Cheryl, and the voice actors just can't exactly nail that.
What's this? Some kind of altar. Never seen anything like this before. Maybe this is the other church.
Oh, yeah, they brought this up before, and there's a notable demon picture back there that eagle-eyed people who are familiar with a lot of demonology and, like, notable demons, well, might recognize. But otherwise, more importantly, there's an axe here. The axe is going to be my main melee weapon for the rest of this LP because I didn't get the hammer in my main run. It's more or less an upgraded version of the kitchen knife. It has a lot more power, but it doesn't have much stopping power, which is what the main reason you'd want the hammer over this. We're going to be using this as my main melee weapon moving forward, though, because it's just the strongest one I can get because I missed the hammer.
What the?
Harry? Are you okay? Harry? Harry?
Interesting. Don't know where we went, but I guess we'll find out next part. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 7, we're gonna be wherever the hell Harry just went. See you guys then.